Hello everyone, Michael O'Brien here, and today we're going to do another behind the scenes special episode, and today we're going to talk about my experience auditioning for America's Got Talent. Hello my friends, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do another behind the scenes video. You guys seem to really enjoy my behind the scenes video, talking about my experience being on Penn and Teller Fool Us. In today's video, I wanted to do something similar, talking about my experience on America's Got Talent. Now, for those of you who do not know, I auditioned for America's Got Talent back in 2017, and unfortunately, I did not get my act featured, but I did get featured on a TV spot with Howie Mandel. That was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun, and I kind of wanted to give you guys a little behind the scenes about that, and talk about my experience with auditioning for America's Got Talent as a whole. So for anyone that is interested in auditioning for AGT, I'll give you guys a little bit of a background on my experience for that. Now, obviously I didn't get booked, so take my advice or my experience on this with a grain of salt. I know everyone's experience with the show is a little bit different, but I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys about what I experienced. So today we're going to do a little behind the scenes special right after these announcements. If you have not already done so, please make sure to click the subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell. That way you know every time I upload a new video. If you'd like to support the channel for just $1 a month, consider clicking the join button and becoming a Mob Squad member. Members will get access to a bunch of really cool stuff, including tutorials, early access to videos, emojis, badges, and even discounts at O'Brien Magic Shop. All that for just $1 a month. I'll even shout your name out for everyone to see right here on the channel. So ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and please welcome some of our newest members. That's Reverheart3, Tariq Osman, and Martine Lodiero. Thank you guys so much for becoming members. It is because of you. It's because of all of my subscribers and everyone at home that watches my videos that I am able to keep this channel going. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and talk about my experience with America's Got Talent. Now, the first thing that I did was I submitted an audition video. They have an early audition link on their website where I went, I filled out my form, I talked about my experience, what my talent was, fill out a bunch of stuff, and then they ask you to send in like a 90-second video clip, right? Or 2 or 3, it doesn't matter. You send in a few different things. So I sent in some video clips of just me doing magic, and submitted all that, and a few days later I actually heard back from a casting agent that was like, oh cool, you're a magician, we love your story, we think your experience and your background is really interesting, we'd love to have you come out and audition for us. So she ended up giving me a list of different things that I should kind of consider when it came to the audition process, and that was to come up with a really good act that could be demonstrated in 90 seconds or less. Now, this is super difficult to do. If while you're auditioning, they really like what you're doing and you go over your time, it's not the end of the world. But they don't want you to come in prepared with a 5-minute thing where you're setting a lot of it up talking and blah, 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 right? They want you to come in and demonstrate your talent, just a snippet of your talent really quick so they can see, do they like your personality? Is your act something that they can consider having on TV? You know, blah, blah, blah. So what I decided to audition on was a card magic effect. Probably not something that I should have done because every magician that was in there that day was doing a card magic demonstration. I ran into a couple of other magicians that were there and like, hey, what are you guys auditioning today? And they showed me and it was like, oh, like we're all doing card magic, right? So what they want to see is something that is unique, that makes your personality shine, that they can see your performance, but it has to be like rapid fire applause, right? So go in there, mix up a Rubik's Cube, solve it, have a card chosen, the card is taken out of the deck, you very visually make the pips change or something like that. They want to see visual stuff, right? You have them think of a word and then you rub your arm and you take the ashes and you rub your arm and their word is like on your arm. Like they want to see like, oh, visual, like big stuff like that, right? What they don't want to see is you setting up a story and a premise. So what I ended up going with was the Gemini twins plot, where essentially you have 2 cards chosen from 2 different parts of the deck. by two different spectators, and then I had two cards that were going to find the two chosen cards. And on the cards, I had them custom made. It was a picture of the judges. So like Howie was on there, Heidi, I think it was Mel B and Simon were the judges that year. So I had little pictures of them drawn of like, I think it was like Howie sawing Heidi in half in a box or something. I don't remember off the top of my head. My good friend Jack Murdoch drew those for me. So the idea and the premise was that I wasn't going to find the cards, the judges were. You guys want to see the judges? Here they are. The cards were put back into the deck, and I handed the cards off to the judges. So it was a pretty self-working trick. They did all of the moves and everything. And after doing a series of dealing down cards and putting the judge cards in and all that, the cards were spread out on the table, and the judge cards were right next to the selected cards. So the judge card found the two of hearts, and this judge card found the queen of diamonds, or whatever, like the two selected cards were. And then it was revealed that I snapped my fingers and I spread out the rest of the cards, and they were all blank. I did plan to have written on them like America's Got Talent or something, I don't know, some message on the cards, spread those out, and that was going to be like the kicker ending for it. So not a difficult trick, something that's visual for television, but the problem is it was one trick that was kind of drawn out, and there was a setup and a presentation to it. What they want to see is like rapid fire stuff. So my act was not featured on the show. So let me talk about my experience now with driving out there, getting there, all this stuff. So we went out to America's Got Talent in Los Angeles at the, what do you call it? Not the Staples Center, the one next to it, the Convention Center, right? So we go out there, and since I had pre-auditioned already, there was like a separate queue for that. All I had to do was just register at that queue, and then they had me wait in that queue, which wasn't as long as like the walk-in people, because the walk-in people had to fill out a bunch of stuff. They had to register, like their registration was like all more intense. Mine, I just had to say, yeah, I'm Michael O'Brien, here I am, and then they, okay, cool, here's your sticker, and then they give you that sticker that you slap on your chest that has like your number on it, right? So I get in that queue, and I'm with my wife, who was like 8 months pregnant at this time, right? So she's like about to pop. Bless her heart for being out there with me. She wanted to be there with me because she wanted, you know, to support me and all that stuff. So grateful for her. She's been amazing. But she's there with me, right? And I thought, oh, it's going to be like 2 hours, maybe, because I asked how long this line is to get in, and they were like, yeah, it's about 2 hours. So I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, so 2 hours, we go in, and then I do my audition and I leave. Well, that wasn't exactly what happened. It was 2 hours to get in the building, and then once you're in the building, they put you in this big room, right, where you wait for your group number to get called. So they're like, okay, everyone whose ticket ends with the numbers 100 to 150, you are next, or whatever. So we're sitting in there waiting, and we were in that room waiting for like 3 or 4 hours for my group to get called. In the meantime, they're asking people, they're like, hey, are you here by yourself, or are you a group act? Like what are you doing, right? And I'm like, no, I'm here by myself. And they're like, okay, well, you want to be on television? I'm like, yeah, of course. And they're like, okay, we want you to come fill out some paperwork or whatever. We're going to interview you. We're going to ask you a few questions or whatever, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So they're like, yeah, come over to this table and just like fill out your information. So go over to the table, and there's a woman there sitting at the table, and she's like asking me some questions and stuff. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, okay, cool. So you're going to fill this out. You're going to fill that out. So she gives me a pen. The pen doesn't write. And I'm like, yeah, the pen doesn't work. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Here, let me find you another pen. So she gives me another pen, and that one also doesn't write. And I'm like, this one doesn't work either. And she's like, do you have a pen? And I was like, I think I have a marker. And I pulled a Sharpie out. And she's like, yeah, you can go ahead and use that. So she has me filling out this like form in Sharpie, right? So I'm filling out the form. And then halfway through the form, I'm not even done yet, she sets down an ink pad in front of me, and she's like, okay, I need your fingerprints, please. And I'm like, okay. So like I dip my hand in the ink pad, and I'm going to like, okay, where do I put it? And she's like, I'm going to have you put it right here on your cheek. In my head, I'm like, on my face? Like, why? And she's like, so we're beta testing some new technology right now. And essentially what the technology is is we're gonna have you fingerprint here on the page, and then you're gonna put those fingerprints on your face too. And the computer software is going to recognize that so that they can link your bio that you're filling out now in the database. That way they don't have to ask you all of this stuff again when you're up there on camera. It's just already ready to go in the database, and the camera will pick up on that. We will digitally remove the ink off your face in post. And so I'm like, okay, all right, this sounds like BS, but whatever, like, I guess I'll do it. And she's like, just touch, don't smudge, because if you smudge it, then the fingerprints will be ruined, so just touch. So I'm like, okay. And she's like, okay, other hand. So I do my other hand, other cheek, like this. And I'm there, like, with ink on my hands, and I'm like, okay, now what? And she's like, okay, go ahead and fill out this, this, and this now. Just make sure you don't get ink on anything. And I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to hold the pen in such a way that, like, I'm not going to drop it. So I finish filling out the paperwork, and they're like, okay, we're going to go ahead and have you come over here now for your interview. So I go over, and the casting producer is there, and they're like, okay, so we need you to fill out this release form now. And I'm like, but I just did that though. And they're like, no, you don't understand. Like, what you did up there was the TV spot. That was Howie Mandel dressed in like a woman. And I'm just like, oh my God, are you freaking serious? But I didn't know it was Howie Mandel that was dressed up like a woman with full makeup and a wig and all of that stuff, right? So she punked me. Howie punked me, right? You got me. Completely fell for it. And so I was a little irritated. My wife was like, Michael, you're stressing out over this for no reason. But in my head, I was like, no, like, Howie had me put ink all over my face, and it was like ink pad ink. It wasn't like dry erase marker. So I was in the bathroom for like an hour scrubbing my face to get my ink off, because I was like, I'm going to go on an audition like this. I don't want ink all over my face on the audition, right? So I'm like trying to take it off. And yeah, so they like apologize. They're like, we're so sorry. I'm like, no, it's fine. It's just a bummer that you guys use like real ink to do this, because I'm like trying to take it off. So I explained the situation to some of my family and friends afterwards, and they were like, how did you not know that it was Howie? How did you not fall for this prank, right? And I'm thinking, like, in my head, I'm like, there's no way that I would have fallen for any of this stuff. But yet I did. I fell for it because I wasn't expecting it. This is how when you watch shows like the Carbonaro Effect and you're thinking, like, how are these people going along with this? How are they not falling for these fake situations, right? That are like so outlandish. And the reason is because when you're there and you're in the moment, you don't really think, like, they didn't tell me, okay, you're going to go and interact with someone for television. What they had me do is they were like, you're going to fill out the form so that we can go interview you. You're going to go sit in that chair over there and we're going to interview you after you fill out these forms. So in my head, nothing had started yet. I'm filling out the forms. In reality, the camera crews were capturing me doing this, right? So I'm filling out the paperwork, and then the woman there is like, touch your face. And I'm just thinking, like, in my head, I'm like, this sounds like BS, right? But it could be believable because I know that this recognition software could be a thing, because they are developing stuff that's like that already, right? So I'm thinking, like, okay. And I know that they can remove the smudges on my face in post. Like, I know that that's a thing. It wouldn't be difficult to do. So in my head, I'm just like, all right, like, I guess I'll be your guinea pig and I'll help you beta test the software or whatever, right? I finish filling out the thing and then I leave, and then they're like, okay, now we need you to fill out the release. The real release to be on TV for the spot that I just did that I didn't know was a spot. So yeah, it was a fun experience, but at the same time, it was kind of irritating at the time because I was like, how do I get this off my face or whatever? And it wasn't until they were like, that was Howie Mandel dressed up like a woman. You're going to be on television in that spot. That I was like, okay. I thought that this woman was just like drunk or something. What the heck is going on? Right? So fun little moment there. So now I go into the room and I'm just waiting in this waiting room with all these other people. They had a bunch of photo opportunities set up. Like they had like a makeup station with like the lights with the America's Got Talent logo on it that you could like take pictures in front of. And they had like the big backdrop set up and all this stuff. So I got a bunch of like really cool pictures. But But again, I feel so bad for Veronica. She was there being a trooper the whole time, right? Just waiting it out with me for like 4 or 5 hours in this room. So keep in mind, we waited in line for 2 hours. Then we're in this room for like 4 or 5 hours. So it was like a 7 or 8 hour day total, everything, right? From the time that we walked in to the time that we left. Because now they called my group number. And so now I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm going to go into this next room and audition. No, you're going to go into this next room with people in your group number, and you're going to wait in another room with just those people and wait for you guys to get called in. So we were in that room for like another hour. And then finally they took us from that room to the audition room where the producers were there. So it was like this whole assembly line thing. And it kind of felt like that a little bit. Kind of ruined the magic a little bit, if that makes any sense. Because it was like, okay, IT 33075, you're up. And I'm like, oh, that's me. Right. So like I go up and I do my thing at the table, and they're like, okay, cool. Thank you so much. Go ahead and have a seat now. So I did my audition, right? And I go and I sit back down in my chair. Now, I thought the auditions were like one-on-one, like with the producers, but it was with me and my group. So my whole group was there watching. I was performing for the TV producer, and they had a camera operator there, like capturing my audition and everything. And they were brutal, not to me. They were actually really nice to me. They were like, okay, thank you so much for your performance. Great magic effect. Go ahead and have a seat back there. And they wrote some notes down. So now I'm sitting there, right? And I'm watching the other people audition. And a lot of them were musicians, and there was a couple comedians. There was a couple stand-up comedians that were doing their thing, and they were great. There was a couple of musicians doing their thing, and they had really good voices, and they were great, right? And then there was like this woman that went up there, and she's like fiddling with her thing, trying to get the music queued up or whatever. And she's like, sorry, 1 minute, let me like fix this and blah, blah, blah. And there's like a timer like on their desk, and their timer goes off. Beep, 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 beep. 90 seconds was over. And she's like, okay, I'm ready now. And they're like, your 90 seconds is done. Like, that was your audition. Sorry. Go ahead and have a seat. And that was it. I was just like, oh, she didn't even get to audition. Like, her audition was her fiddling with her iPhone, trying to get it set up. And they were like, you gotta be ready. Like, we made this excruciatingly clear to you guys. And they did. Like, they told us, like, in pretty much every room, make sure you're ready. You have 90 seconds. Like, once you go in there, you have 90 seconds and you're done. So make sure you're ready, right? So at the end of all that, they said, okay, we're going to call your names. If we called your name, go ahead and stand up. So they called like 3 or 4 people's names. And they said, if we did not call your names, thank you guys so much. You can go ahead and exit. We're not moving forward with you at this time, but feel free to audition again next season. And I wasn't called, so I was like, that's a bummer, but whatever. So I leave out, right? And as I'm walking out, the 2 or 3 people that they had stay in, they asked them more questions. And I didn't get to see everything because they had us leave. But what I'm guessing they did was they asked them follow-up questions and took down their information to put into the for the taping. Now, not everyone that went into the taping got featured on television, but for the taping, you actually went on stage in front of the actual judges and you did your thing, right? So, unfortunately, I didn't get to that part of it, but I did get to go in front of the producers. I did get to show my thing. They didn't like it, and that's totally fine. But I did get to be on TV in that segment with Howie Mandel. I'll go ahead and play that segment for you guys right at the end of this video, so if you want to check that out. It was a fun little thing. I'll play the segment for you guys so you can see it. But all in all, it was a fun experience and one that I recommend that you guys, try. But here is my advice for you. Number 1, be prepared and have a 90-second piece of magic that is ready to go and is 90 seconds. Do not think that you can go in there with a 5-minute piece and spend the first minute setting it up, because by the time you actually go ahead and take out a card and their little timer goes off, they're gonna be like, I didn't even get to pick a card, now your audition's over, sorry, bye, go sit down, right? So they are very strict with that time. So make sure that because they had like 8,000, 10,000 people to get through that day. I don't know how many people auditioned in Los Angeles, but it was probably a lot, right? So make sure that you have your act prepared and it's ready to go. When you get in there to audition, be ready to actually perform as soon as they start that clock, right? Hi, my name is Michael O'Brien. Here's my act. And you launch into your act. You do not take extra time, right? Also be prepared to be there all day. Like I said, I was pre-registered, so I thought that I was gonna kind of be like fast passed in, which I was, but I only skipped the queue outside of the building. Once I was in, I was lumped in with everyone else, and I had to wait like 4 or 5 hours, with everyone else. So you got that give or take, right? Had I not done the pre-audition, I probably would have waited in like a 3 or 4 hour, maybe 5 hour line outside instead of the 2 hour line that I waited in. So I do recommend pre-auditioning and getting a casting agent. I have a casting agent who's been wonderful. Nyla, if you're watching this, you've been wonderful. She is my casting agent, and every year reaches out to me, are you going to audition for AGT this year? I was like, it wasn't a really good experience for me. Yeah, I did the thing with Howie, and that was fun, but just, it was like an 8-hour day. My whole day was gone. I did have a gig that evening, which I am thankful that I wasn't late to. I was able to do the gig. My gig was like at 10 o'clock at night, so I was done by like 7 in the evening in Los Angeles. I had to go all the way back to Orange County. So I was able to do it and all that stuff. It's just like my whole day, and I didn't feel good about it afterwards. I was really bummed out and this and that. So I don't think so. But like every year she sends me a message, hey, auditions have opened up. This year she sent me a message saying, you were on Fool Us. You gotta go audition. If you're gonna audition, you gotta go audition this year, because you need to ride that wave. Like, the producers will take you a little bit more seriously. You've already been on TV for another television show. The producers will take you a little bit more seriously this time, so it's probably a good idea for you to go audition. So I think I'm going to audition for it, and if I don't get it in this year, that's totally fine. This will probably be my last audition for America's Got Talent, but I do think I'm going to do it. And my strategy going into it this year is to do 4 hard-hitting, quick pieces of magic. So that would be 1 piece of magic for each judge. That in total would be between a minute and 90 seconds long. So I'm not going to tell you guys what I'm going to do, because I don't want any of you guys to rip off my act. But I'm going to do something for this person, and then 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 have that kicker ending tie-in that ties all of it together. And that's my applause cue. With the goal being to impress them with my skill so they can see that I have something to audition with. And then on the back end, when they call me back into the room to talk about my future on the show, I'm going to have prepared 3 or 4 acts that are more theatrical, that are a little longer, and be like, yeah, if you guys want to see the long version of this presentation, I'll be happy to audition it the long version for you, because I know I only had 90 seconds, and I kind of rushed through it a little bit, but I can do the whole long thing for you guys if you want to see it, the 3 or 4 minute version of it instead of the 90-second version. And I have these 4 or 5 acts already kind of ready to go too, depending on what you guys want to do, right? Because having spoken to friends of mine that have been on the show, they were like, yeah, be prepared to kind of be their B, right? You know what I mean? They're going to kind of do with you what they kind of want to do with you. So be prepared for that a little bit. If they want you to do this or this or this, you know, which is why you see magicians going on the show and they're kind of just doing marketed material. And you're like, why didn't they do like something original? Like, why are they just doing like XYZ trick? Like, they bit the coin and spit it back. Like, why are they doing that crap? It's because that's what the producers want to see, because that's what the general audience wants to see. They don't want to see intricate technical stuff and original stuff. They want to see stuff that they know is going to do well on the show. So you do have to be prepared for that too. I mean, worst case scenario, if you don't feel comfortable doing that stuff, you can just be like, hey guys, this is what I want to do on the show. And if you don't want that, if you want me to sell out and do this instead, I'm not your guy for that. I'm sorry. And be prepared to walk away. That's the thing. Are you willing to do that? So I have a lot to think about. If you're considering auditioning for the show, you guys have a lot to think about. But thank you anyway for watching my behind the scenes video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stick around, because I'm going to show you guys my Howie Mandel segment right here in just a minute or so. But my question for you guys is, Should I audition for America's Got Talent 2022? And if so, what do you think I should do for the audition? I already have in my mind a good idea of what I'm going to do, but I'm curious to know your thoughts. What should I do, and should I actually go out and audition for this?
At one point, you believe this is going to look like a female?
Yeah.
No, they're stuck.
I know. Open
It's
it.
stuck closed.
Hi, lady on the end in the glasses.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to America's Got Talent, season 12.
Good afternoon.
My name is Harriet. I love the outfit.
Oh, thank you, yes.
You are adorable.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
May I register here?
You can?
Yes.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
My name is
How are you?
Harriet, and you are...
Sherman Ford. I have a
You
number
are...
here. Sherman.
Sure.
S-H-E-R-M-A-N. Sherman.
Sure. I'm sorry.
Sherman.
Sure. I'm going to have you line up in single file right here.
Right here? Line up right here?
Yeah, in single file, please.
Okay. So I'm going to stay right here.
In single file.
How does that work then?
You don't know how to make a single file
Oh,
line?
yes, of course. So like this, right?
No, single file.
Okay, oh, so like this.
Are you guys married?
Not yet.
That's my fiance.
I am an ordained minister. Do you want me to marry you? We have a Bible.
No, you're serious.
I am absolutely serious. Okay? Put your hand on the Bible. Okay, I, Patrice.
Hi, Patrice.
Will you just take the sticker off and just
On my
press the neck?
I haven't seen anyone else with on their neck. I can't get it off.
You get a sticker person. Sticker person. Sticker person. So what I'm going to do is iris identification, the eye.
Oh, amen.
So open one eye wide and to the camera.
Oh,
Yes,
what did I do?
one eye. Let me see if it's registering. Do you know who Shirley is?
I don't know, Shirley.
Is it, maybe it's the other eye.
Other eye.
Fingerprints?
Like,
Yes, on your own self though.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Go ahead, fingerprints on your own self.
Like,
Yes, just don't smudge, just touch.
just touch like that?
Touch, yes. Other hand.
Here?
Yeah. It is showing, do you have nunchucks?
No, I don't.
Well, I'm gonna call the security.
I have a crochet hook. I've been knitting.
That's a weapon. What is it that you're making?
I'm crocheting a towel.
But do you realize that that could be used for suffocation and that could be used to impale someone?
Oh, I'm sorry. Where am I supposed to go?
Just right here in single file.
Oh, right here. Like
In
this.
single file. Single file.
That's...
I think we have a connection. Would you have lunch with me?
What time's your lunch?
This is my lunch break. Would
I guess we can do this.
All right. Take a bite. Take a bite. Take a bite. You got a little. Let me get your mouth. Let me get.
Is this good for you?
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Thank you. Woo. There she goes.
My name is Karen.
I know, but your eye is not matching your name.
Oh, Lord, you telling me these ain't my eyes?
Try it again.
Around the world, and I ain't heard of this.
Try it again.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already done so, make sure to click the subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell. That way you'll know every time I upload a new video. If you'd like to check out some more magic, visit us at o'brienmagic.com and be sure to check out our online magic shop where you will find the latest and greatest magic books, downloads, and accessories.